So I'm going to give an overview of doing Kaplan-Meier survivorship curves. Here I have a data set that I just called data that has three pieces of information. For Kaplan-Meier curves, you generally just have the amount of time that someone has been followed, whatever you're stratifying by, usually your two treatment groups. And status here is how we're telling SAS that we know like this person was followed for 148 months, and by saying status 1, that's saying that they stopped being followed because they had an event, or whether that's death or whatever the event is. Whereas 0 would mean they're right centered in the sense that they just dropped out of the study or whatever. Um, so yeah, I'll just read that in. So to do Kaplan-Meier curves, you do proc life test, and you tell it what data you're going to be working with. And for plots, you're able to put I think you can just put an S. I think that's enough that SAS knows what it is. And then you have to tell SAS how you're going to work with time. So for time, it's going to be months, and you put an asterisk here, and you put status next, and in brackets you tell SAS what censored data looks like basically. So you'd put 0 in for our case. And lastly, you tell SAS what to stratify by. Um, so when we run this, we get our survival information stratified by treatment status. So there's treatment negative and treatment positive. And at the bottom here, we have our Kaplan-Meier survivalship curve, where I guess it's if you're not familiar with that, that requires a video in itself. But each one of these dashes means that it's censored, and each time it dips, it means that someone in that group had the event, and I imagine it's death in this case since it's survival probability. Um, and yeah, over time, the probability of surviving up to that point gets lower and lower. It starts at 1 because everyone's alive, and over time, people are either dropping out or dying. So your probability of surviving to that point gets lower and lower. And yeah, that's basically it. There's a few other things you can do. You're able to ask SAS for I think, yeah, you can ask for confidence limits around your Kaplan-Meier. Yeah, and that's able to tell you, I guess it can help you differentiate whether the two groups differ significantly. Um, Also, you can ask for SAS to keep track at various intervals of how many people are still at risk in the two groups. Um, I guess it looks like, how far does it go? About like 300. So we can say like 0 to 300 by like 50. And yeah, now it'll give us information on how many people are left at risk. And as far as telling if the two groups are significantly different, I'd look at the log rank test, where it gives you a variety of tests that's like you can see that there's a lot of times when the confidence bands of the two groups overlap, but that doesn't necessarily tell you if the two groups are significantly different. So you have access to these tests where I guess the null hypothesis is that they're the same line. And yeah, they're all pretty significant at 0.05, so there's evidence that the two groups differ.